So greetings from Pennsylvania once again. And just a little while ago we did a little biography on John Forbes, who led the Forbes expedition during the French and Indian War. The expedition that did take Fort Duquesne from the French at the forks of the Ohio, out there in the Ohio Valley area. But this video is about Henry Bouquet, who was basically, during the expedition, was basically his second in command. I'll put the name down here. It sounds like Henry Bouquet, but it's French, so I guess I'm pretty sure I'm saying it correctly, Bouquet. But Henry himself was not French. He was a Swiss. He was from Switzerland, but Switzerland has French, German, and Italian aspects to it. So he was kind of like a French Swiss, I guess you could say. He was also a mercenary. He traveled through fought for different countries, fought for the Dutch Republic, fought for the Kingdom of Sardinia, as part of the Swiss Guards. Yeah, so he was born in 1719 in Switzerland, obviously, and died in 1765, not too long after the French and Indian War. But then in 1754 he joined the British Army, and thus comes into our story of the French and Indian War. So at the beginning of the war, back in 1754, he was stationed down in South Carolina, in the city of Charleston, quite a ways away from Pennsylvania and Fort Duquesne. But in 1758, during the Forbes campaign, he was basically, like I said, Forbes' second in command. And Forbes relied on him heavily during that time. For reasons we've already discussed in the video on John Forbes, we'll discuss it here too. So as was mentioned in the video on Forbes, he unfortunately suffered from dysentery or perhaps stomach cancer or something like that. So he was very ill during the whole campaign. So he relied heavily on Henry Bouquet. Bouquet was kind of like his front man, kind of leading the expedition, the building of the road, because they had to build a road to get out to Fort Duquesne, building of the forts and things like that. So they were usually separated by quite a distance. Bouquet was kind of up ahead with the troops, while Forbes kind of hung in the back, I guess you could say, because, like I say, he was seriously ill most of the time. So when you read or research about the Forbes expedition, a lot of times you're learning more about Henry Bouquet than you are about John Forbes. And then, of course, he was there in the fall of 1758 at the capture of Fort Duquesne. But his military career in Pennsylvania does not end in 1758. In fact, the battle that he's best known for occurs after the French and Indian War. So the French and Indian War ended in 1763 with what's called the Treaty of Paris. But unfortunately, there's a number of the Native American tribes who were not happy with the terms, and there was another rebellion, often referred to as Pontiac's Rebellion. Pontiac was the name of one of the chiefs who kind of led the rebellion, and sometimes it's referred to as Pontiac's War. That occurred from 1763 through 1764. And that war has a very similar feel to the French and Indian War. In fact, I'm going to include that war. When I'm done with this series on the French and Indian War, I'm going to include Pontiac's War kind of at the end of this series. Because once again, there were some raids on the colonies, massacres, and things like that. Very similar to French and Indian War times. But in 1763, now, of course, in 1758, Fort Duquesne was rebuilt and named Fort Pitt. And in 1763, it was under siege by a bunch of the Native American tribes, and it was in danger of falling. And Henry Bouquet was sent to relieve the fort. But on his way to Fort Pitt to deliver aid and reinforcements and all that kind of stuff, he was attacked by the Native Americans at what's called the Battle of Bushy Run, just east of Pittsburgh. And it was a decisive victory for the British. Henry Bouquet, they suffered heavy losses, but he was a disciplined leader and his men were disciplined, and they won that battle. It was a decisive victory in that war. Probably what he's best known for, I believe, is that battle right there. So he did make it to Fort Pitt then. And later in 1764, he traveled further into the Ohio Territory. He is responsible for bringing a lot of the captives back that the Indians had taken during the French and Indian War. It's one of the things he's noted for. But then, unfortunately for him, his story kind of ends abruptly as well. In 1765, he was made a brigadier general. He had some great military success. I believe he was put in charge of all the British forces in the southern colonies, I believe. But then in 1765 he died in Florida of yellow fever, just like that. Once again, just when he was reaping the benefits of some of his greatest military successes, his life is kind of cut off about the age of 46. So in a way similar to Forbes, whose life was cut off as well right after a military victory that would have advanced his career. Alright, but that'll probably be the end of this video. Once again, just another little biography on some of the people involved, not only in the French and Indian War, but in the upcoming Forbes expedition that I'm going to film hopefully soon. I do have one more video I want to do, like I said, the Treaty of Easton. I want to do that video. I think I mentioned that in the Forbes video maybe, but anyway. Like I said, I just like to give a little bit of a background of the people that are going to be involved in the Forbes expedition. Alright, as always, thanks for coming along, and we'll see you on the next one.